Hello, everybody. This is a new topic, which is dismantling bias and fostering equality. So welcome to this essential conversation on dismantling bias and fostering equality. This presentation aims to deepen your understanding on how societal bias and stigma affect LGBTQI individuals, especially youth. We'll explore how intersectionality shapes identity and oppression, and how each of us can recognize and challenge our own internalized bias. The strikes are high: mental health crisis, exclusion, and violence, but remain prevalent challenges. By understanding the mechanism of stigma and learning inclusive practices, we can create a safer and a more supportive environment for LGBTQ plus youth. This is more than education. This is a call for action. So let's get started. So, understanding bias and stigma. To understand the equality challenges faced by LGBTQA youth, we must start with the concepts of bias and stigma. Bias can be either conscious and unconscious, and often operates below the surface, shaping our assumption and actions toward others without us realizing it. Stigma, meanwhile, is the societal branding of certain traits as undesirable. LGBTQA plus people, particularly youth, face stigma for simply being who they are, resulting in marginalization and diminished life opportunities. This isn't just a social issue, it's a public health concern. Recognizing how bias and stigma intersects help us begin to dismantle them. We'll examine the real-life effects those forces have and why effective efforts are needed to create inclusive communities. So, forms of LGBTQA discriminations. Discrimination against LGBTQA individuals manifests in many forms, from this subtle to violent. Verbal harassment remains one of the most widespread forms, often normalized in schoolyards and workplaces. Misgendering and slurs may seem casual for some, but they deeply erode the target's sense of identity and safety. More severe forms include physical violence. LGBTQA youth are at a significant higher risk of being assaulted or victimized simply for being themselves. According to global reports, hate crimes revealed to sexual orientation or gender identity are rising. Discrimination also exists in systems and policies. While laws fail to protect or explicitly target LGBTQA communities, this institutional bias reinforces marginalization and limits access to healthcare, education, or justice, and add to social exclusion, which often leaves LGBTQIA plus youth unsupported and isolated, and the impact becomes very profound. So, intersectionality, that is explained. Now I will talk more about this. So, intersectionality is a term introduced by a legal scholar named Kimberly Crenshaw. It describes how various aspects of a person's identity, such as gender, race, sexuality, class, or ability, overlaps, shaping unique experiences of discrimination or privilege. For example, a black transgender woman may face racial discrimination, sexism, and transphobia simultaneously. These experiences aren't just additive, they compound and interact in ways that amplify vulnerability and marginalization. By applying an intersectional lens, we can develop a better support system and more inclusive policies. It pushes us to ask who is being left out, and when we only address one axis of identity at a time. Recognizing our own bias. We all carry bias, many of them unconscious, that shape our perception and decisions. These biases are often inherited from our surroundings. Family, media, religion, and societal norms subtly imprint assumptions about what is normal or acceptable. The process of confronting our own bias starts with honest self-reflection. It requires us to ask difficult questions. Where did this belief come from? Whom does it benefit? Who does it harm? Recognizing bias doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a more conscious one. Challenges bias is a lifelong journey. It involves learning from people whose identities and experiences differ from our own. The more we listen, the more inclusive our words become. Mental health impact on LGBTQIA youth. Bias and stigma don't just exist in theory. They have profound real-world effects, particularly on LGBTQIA. According to Trevor Project's 2024 national survey, nearly 4 in 10 LGBTQIA considered suicide in last year. That number jumps nearly half among transgender and non-binary people. These people suffer disproportionately from anxiety and depression, largely due to rejection, bullying, and lack of acceptance. When your identity is marginalized daily, it takes a significant toll on emotional and psychological well-being. Perhaps more tragic is that even those who seek help can't always get it. Half LGBTQIA are unable to access needed mental health care. This highlights the urgent need to not only reduce stigma, but also improve access and support structures. So, building inclusive spaces. An inclusive environment doesn't happen by accident. It requires deliberate and sustained action. Starting in schools, LGBTQIA inclusive educations help people see themselves reflect in what they learn and help others gain empathy and understanding. Support structures are essential. Organizing like gender and sexual alliances serve as a lifeless for youth, especially, who may not feel safe or understood at home. They offer not just emotional backing, but also a sense of belonging. Allyship plays a powerful role. Wherever you are part of LGBTQA community or not, standing up against discrimination and educating others is vital. And institutions may back this with robust policies that protect all identities. Together we can create a safer and a more welcoming spaces. So, as conclusion and call to action. As we wrap, remember each of us has a role to play in dismantling bias and fostering equality. It starts with internal reflection. Identify the ways we may have unconsciously absorbed or perpetuated harmful beliefs about gender and sexuality. Education is the next step. The more you know, the more effectively you can speak out and support others. Allyship isn't about speaking for someone. It's about standing with them, amplifying their voice, while being ready to step aside when needed. Finally, take action. Push for systemic change and model inclusive behavior in everyday life. Let this presentation be a beginning of your journey and not the end.